Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel. This is Marissa with Sister to Sister Empowerment Chats. So today I want to talk to you about, by the title, not to allow fear to control you. And I want to start by sharing one of my earliest memories of allowing fear to stop me, to control me, and to decide for me. When I was 19 years old, I used to work at Hardee's, and an Army recruiter came through my line. He was asking me about my education and started telling me a little bit about being in the Army. So based on what he was telling me, I was interested. So we set up an appointment and he came to my house. So once he got there, he started going over started going more in detail about the benefits, as far as the traveling, education, the pay, all of that. Then I asked about the process. So he told me about the basic training, and I'm like, basic training, like what's that? Because at this time I really didn't know, about military and how it worked. He started talking about the running, the physical exercise, basic training, and I literally just shut down, because at that time I started remembering that when I was in high school, in junior high, I just was not very athletic at all. I was active in the community, like playing kickball and softball and things like that, but an athlete, running, I immediately saw myself failing, not being able to go through. Simply just remembering how I didn't make it on the basketball team. I couldn't run track. Just going on my past experience. The other thing that, it wasn't a deciding factor, but I was a little nervous about having to sign over my son. But in my mind, I could work through that because I knew he'd be with my mom. But when it came to the basic training, it was a no for me. I couldn't. So fast forward, when I was 26 in college, I was taking courses for the nursing program. And at this time I had to depend on a ride. So I needed to take classes in a certain time frame. So I needed one other class to fill my schedule that worked. And it was a class called physical conditioning. So I'm like, okay, I'll take this class. Who came past that? So, once I got in the class, I found out that it was about resistance training and cardio, which meant I would have to run. So I was like, oh gosh, I couldn't drop out of the class because I was on a grant. So of course, if I dropped it, then I would have had to pay for another class to fill it. So, and plus it wouldn't have worked out for my ride. But anywho, I wind up taking the class, of course, and part of the conditioning was running. So running was the first thing we had to do. So every day we would have to run a mile. So needless to say, in the first few weeks of the class, it took me about 8 or 9 minutes to run a mile. And toward the end of this course, I started getting better. To my surprise, I was like, okay. It got to the point where it wasn't as bad as I imagined it to be. So toward the end of the class, me and this other lady were like the two fastest female runners. The guys were, of course, smoking us, but we were the fastest too. And that made me feel good that I was good enough to be at the top, leading the class. So on our very last run, as a matter of fact, it was our test. I ran my mile in 5 minutes and 32 seconds. I was so proud. I didn't come in first. The girl who beat me, she ran it in 5 minutes and 31 seconds. So I didn't care. I was just so elated. I was just happy. I was like, I can't believe I did that. Just thinking about where I came from. So needless to say, I took the course again. That's where I fell in love with fitness. But I wish I could say that was the end of me ever being fearful again. No. Like I said, that is my earliest memory of how I allowed fear to control me, stop me, and decide for me. So there, like I said, I have hundreds, probably thousands of times that I allowed that to happen to me. But what I want to say is, don't let fear control you. Don't let fear decide for you. And most importantly, do not let it stop you. I'm reminded of Peter from the Bible. Peter saw Jesus walking on the water toward him. And he is like, Jesus, if that's you, bid me to come. Command me to come. Peter got out of the boat. He started walking on water. But guess what happened? He got distracted by the storms and he fell. And that's what I want to say to you. You can do it. I'm reminded of a message my sister Destiny taught us. Get out of the boat, Peter. Get out of the boat. What you afraid of? And Peter did. He got out of the boat. But as with us, we may take steps. We may even think about doing something. But because we look around at circumstances, our limitations, shortcomings, what people think, we get distracted and we become fearful and doubtful. And that's just not the way it should be. It should be that, how I want to say this, it should be that we have courage, because that's how we were made. God didn't give us a spirit of fear. We weren't created to be fearful and timid and cowardly. We were made to be fearless. So about maybe 4 or 5 years ago, I did make a decision in my life that I wasn't going to allow fear to be a major factor in my life. I know that sometimes we will feel it, but it shouldn't be controlling. We have to be like Peter was. That took courage for Peter to step out of a boat and think that he can walk on the water. So what is it going to take courage for you to do? What boat do you need to step out of? What is it that you desire? What is stopping you? Is it something that you want that's not happening because you're in the phase of contemplating? You're in the phase of trying to reason it out. Well, sis, I'm going to tell you today, that very thing that you might be running from, you need to run toward it. Go directly toward it. Face it. And the good thing about facing it is you're not facing it alone. First of all, you have God with you. Second of all, there is someone in your life to support you, encourage you, hold you accountable. You may have some in your circle, in your family. If not, this is a community that we're creating here to support you, encourage you, and hold you accountable. We want to empower you, to let you know what's inside of you. Just like the example I gave, all alone, if I had went to the army, I could have ran. I might not have been the best runner, but I believe with continuous practice and continuous facing it, I would have made it. So like I said, I back a few years ago, I've decided to face fears. I have a thing about public speaking. I've taken public speaking courses to help me get past my nerves when it comes to public speaking. I've accepted invitations to speak. I can't think of anything right now, but yeah, I have learned how to face the fears. And that's what I want for all of us, to go from fear to fierce, to be that woman we were created to be. We were not created to shrink. to be cowardly, to be fearful. That is not part of our DNA. We were created to be legacy builders. We were created in the likeness and the image of God. So fear don't have nothing to do with that. He tells us over and over to fear not. So sis, whatever it is, I'm gonna say this again, just do it. If you need support, encouragement, and accountability, we're here. So I want to know from you, what is it that you're doing to push past your fears? How are you being brave? What are you doing to be brave and courageous? Because just remember this, one of my favorite quotes is, if it does not challenge you, you won't be changed. So in order to be changed, you have to be challenged. I know I'm jacking that quote up, but you get the gist of what I'm saying. No challenge, no change. So I'm going to leave you with this thought today. You can do anything you set your heart and mind on doing. There is nothing stopping you but you. So I want you to leave again in the comments. How do you get past fear? Or is fear stopping you? However you want to comment on anything I've said today. If you've been encouraged, share it with us. We want to know. So with that said, at the time of this recording today, it is Mother's Day. And I hope and pray that you are all having a wonderful Mother's Day. I love you, sis, and I will see you in the next video.